We have a new collection of not emotes because I still don't have access to like, emotes. Welcome to the stream. Again, sorry about the VOD uploads. I don't know what the hell is happening. I really hate YouTube sometimes. Sometimes the system works, sometimes it doesn't. This is a thing that I've noticed a lot in different software, and it's something that I've really hated in the various types of software. I really, really hate software that fails to, I think, properly communicate when something has gone wrong. That's what I hate the most. On YouTube, when your video gets stuck processing, it just says it's taking longer than expected. Please wait. I've waited for 3 days now. 3 days. So the Dragon's Dogma stuff is all behind because I can't upload, the other parts because the one part is stuck. I don't know why. Software always decides that is like the way to tell people. I always think you should just tell people outright, hey, something's completely broken, and if you don't get a response in time, you should just go and bug someone at the company until you get it fixed, because this is a serious problem. Instead, a lot of things in general hide the mistakes, right? And hiding mistakes is never good. Hiding mistakes and hiding problems never really solves things. It's important, I think, to look at something and then be like, hey, how do we fix this? What's wrong? And then how do we break it down? And then okay, if we can't do it, how does somebody else fix it, right? In the sense of okay, if the end user can't fix it, how can they find someone to fix it for them? I always find it funny whenever these platforms are sort of made in this ideal, under this sort of this framework of minimizing how many people you can interact with from them. I always find that to be a very fascinating sort of way of handling things. I find it odd. Well, I find it fascinating, but mainly odd, because you would think that people would be the most efficient at it, right? And they are. People are the most efficient at solving problems. The problem is that everything wants to save money. Every single company wants to save money. And so you never actually get to encounter somebody who's going to help you through things. Instead, you have to slowly push your way through this automated mess until you finally reach a human soul who has the ability to think in more general terms and can say, oh wait, this actually is kind of related to XYZ. I mean to XYZ. Let me go and talk to XYZ to ABC to figure out what's going on. This happens everywhere, actually. Many times I deal with this stuff also when I have to call banks, when I need to call businesses, when I need to call people, even when I need to call somebody to speak to somebody else, which is a usual common happenstance. You don't get to talk to a fair amount of people without talking to some front person first, right? At a company, you talk to a receptionist, and it's okay, how do I get to talking to this person? And it's strange how more and more of those touch points, it's gone from people to machines. I find that machines can't do any of that. I find machines are very, very useless at getting you any answer at all, because machines are designed only for the most common cases, right? When your situation becomes uncommon, that's when the system as a whole breaks. And I get very annoyed by it, extremely annoyed by it, because there's no recourse when a system breaks, because the only thing left is the system. And so when the system goes down and the only thing left is the people who could possibly fix the system, why would you bother wasting your time on it? Now, I imagine that this is actually a major issue in a lot of different places, right? I imagine that this actually does cost a fair amount of people a fair amount of business, right? Not a crazy amount, right? If you think of the 80-20 rule, right? Let's assume 80% of your users are easy, fine, they just do what they do, and nothing really happens. Imagine you go to a bank, right? 80% of their patrons at that bank are probably just normal people who have normal accounts, and nothing ever really happens to their account, right? 20% have something happen, a check might be held unfairly, and then you have to call someone to push it through, or money gets sent into their account from a random other third-party organization, and it's hey, what's going on? But why would you ever want to drop 20% of your business, right? That to me seems insane to me. Unless the cost is so much greater, but I doubt the cost is so much greater, realistically, right? Realistically, if you just have a fair number of people who can help solve these issues, and a way to push through these issues very easily, and tools to allow them to push through these issues, and eventually, you get to have 20% more business as a whole, compared to losing it to nothingness, to the ether, and it just disappears forever. I find that to be a much more fascinating approach, or a much more sustainable approach to business long term. Because honestly, you talk to a chatbot once and it makes you want to rip your hair out. My God, that thing cannot solve anything. However, I've been trying my best to try to scam the chatbots. Not scam. It's not scamming. The chatbot is acting as an agent of the company, and so if the chatbot says I can buy a car for $1, I can buy a car for $1. Like the guy who, because again, there's a lot of stories that we've seen. Chatbots have been writing contracts, for like a car, selling a car for like $1 and stuff, and it's like, yeah, that's funny. And people don't realize, like, these things don't know context, Like, for us, a car is a valuable thing, and so it's like you can't just, like, have the car not be sold for a lot amount, for like a huge amount of money. But to the AI, it's just a subject, right? To the AI chatbot, it's just a subject. It's just a topic. It's just a concept. Like, it doesn't really care that the car will be sold for like $1 million, right? Like, it doesn't really matter to the car, right? And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because we rly on that stuff so much for so many touch points that, and we have so much evidence that it doesn't really work, and we still kind of push forward on it just for the sake of cost savings, right? The raw dollar value is like still less, and it's so frustrating because like there's like an unrealized amount of value. And it also makes me kind of realize too, like, or just think about this like fact that a lot of people that you see at like the highest positions usually got there through a fair amount of luck versus like ultimate skill, right? Very few people got to the very top positions through ultimate skill. Many of them just got there through a lot of luck combined with a fair amount of skill. But you like it's not like if you're super skilled, you will always get to the very, very top. That usually never happens. It's actually very, very rare too. And I say this as somebody who has seen that cycle, been in that cycle. Basically, your luck defines your trajectory a lot, and decisions like that as a whole, like really show that, I think, right? Because to do that and to not try to calculate like the unrealized value, and to not even see the unrealized value of like having a person there, I find is a very short-sighted mindset, very short-sighted. But that was my rant on dealing with chatbots and AIs and stuff, and dealing with lack of support. Again, it's surprising to me that YouTube is like this giant corporation, but they have no way of understanding how to do things. To be fair, I've heard YouTube as a whole is a technically complex thing. There's a lot of things that they need to do, and there's a lot of information that they need to store that isn't cheap, right? It has to be stored somewhere, and it has to be retrievable within like half a second. It's very hard to like do that, even for videos that have like 2 views out of nowhere, right? It's very, very hard to like make sure that these things can be found, right? But I still think there's a way that it could be better. If only, there was a bit more effort put in. I mean, there's many different videos and exposés on like how YouTube does things and how weirdly flawed it is. And we even know that YouTube makes no money. Like they make, I think they're still in the red or something. I think YouTube profits 2023. Holy shit, video platform ad revenue. So YouTube, the ad revenue is $31.5 billion in just 2023 alone. Jeez Louise. And it makes up 10% of Alphabet's entire like revenue sources. Oh my god. Okay, never mind. Maybe YouTube does make a lot of money, and then, but then if they make that much money, I don't know, it still feels like there's so many different things that still feel like awful. I don't know. It's weird. I'm thankful that this isn't my job, right? Doing YouTube and stuff is just more of a fun hobby because I have nothing else to do, and also it gives me a chance to play games and like do stuff on the side, and also it gives me a chance to do like some weird ideas for like content. I really enjoy just doing content for like fun. But seeing like what happens both in like the live stream space and the video space, I'm surprised that no other alternative has been able to kick off very, very well. But again, it's that idea of like, well, one person came in first, and then one person was very lucky, and then one person was also like had the right amount of skill to make it work, and so it works, right? The only other competitive to YouTube, I think, was Google Videos, and I remember there's actually a whole series of here Google Video versus YouTube emails. This is a fascinating set of emails. Fuck. Wait. Google video hacking emails. Leaked emails. Okay. Well, it's leaked emails, but I'm pretty sure it's fine. Okay. Why is it always on Twitter? You internal tech emails. Tech emails at tech emails. Why is it always on Twitter? Okay. Well, sorry, chat. I'm gonna have to do this. Well, I'll show you the emails. Do this. Or maybe there's a better way to find it. I think we should look into acquiring YouTube. Is it no other source? Wait, is it really only from Thing? What the? Google YouTube acquisition leaked emails. Is the only source Twitter? That seems insane to me. That the only source is Twitter, right? Like that. Huh? What the? That seems insane to me. That Twitter is like sometimes the only source of truth for things. Or maybe there's like more, but like it's impossible to find like any other way. Oh, because you have to go to the legal document. That's why. And they try to hide the legal documents. Alright, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Alright, they have a website. Cool. Continue reading. Yeah, there we go. This document is from the House Judiciary Antitrust Subcommittee. Jesus Louises. I don't think I can even begin to find that. Okay, well, you get shitty Twitter. You get shitty Twitter images. I can't show you my Twitter. Everyone knows about the impending doom of Twitter with all the pussy and bio bots. So many people have been like making memes about them, right? Tons of memes about these pussy and like bio bots. And honestly, they're kind of everywhere. Like they're honestly everywhere. Here we go. But yeah, it's so basically Google Video when they first started, they thought that they could actually beat YouTube. Like, and mind you, YouTube at the time was like amazing. So it's like they thought that they could beat YouTube because they had better technology. So Jeff Huber was one of the people at the at Google. I think he was a very high up person. I think actually he was not just high up. I actually think he was on this. Well, was he on the C-suite or didn't he move to the C-suite? Let's see. Jeff Huber. There we go. Yeah, he was the lead. I think he was the lead developer of their AdSense tool, which was also like an acquisition from ClickHouse, but I digress. And then Larry Page was one of the founders. A recent thread below on YouTube and potential acquisition. Here's more info on them. Forward YouTube, YouTube ? Larry Page. Okay, again founder. I think he was CEO for a while, or maybe it was a Sergey Brin. I don't know. It was him, Sergey Brin, and then Eric Schmidt that like started the whole Google thing. I think he forwarded it to like a lot more of the executive team and was like, I think we should look into acquiring them. Note they were recently funded by Mike at Sequoia, which is a funding capital team. Like Sequoia, like they fund a bunch of like, you know, different companies and like stuff. Here we go. And then also, sorry, I got the emails out of order. Fuck. November 6th. Here we go. Okay. So it's right to left. Sorry. Just curious, and then Jeff Huber started it with how we talked to the you two guys about coming here. They're cranking interesting features a lot faster than we are, but we don't likely have a backend that will scale or plan to make money. But they don't have a backend. We, on the other hand, have those. And again, the hubris, right? Where they still feel like we have something there that can work. It looks like it's mostly ex-PayPal guys, and they're local in the Palo Alto, which again, it's strange how that one place, like San Francisco, Palo Alto, like everybody was like there, and they were able to like, that place really had a culture that cultivated the hacker mindset. It's very odd. If we don't do something with them, we need to do something to seriously rev up our feature rate. And then he forwarded it. And then from Peter Chain to Jeff Huber. We haven't talked to them. Last we heard they took $5 million from Sequoia, which is an investment fund. Which is an investment capital business company, whatever. I don't know if you can call it a business to just throw people money, but sure. And we're thinking about an acquisition with Yahoo. I still the Yahoo acquisition, Yahoo said no to it when they were going to be bought for a couple $1 billion, and then they sold for a couple $1 million. Yahoo has consistently fumbled the bag with acquisitions. We have all the features in the Q4 plan, and almost all of them are already mocked up and ready to go. We're constrained on UI and Java development resources. Luckily, Nikhil is pitching to help on some things. We have 1.5 engineers working on UI things, and that's slowing us down. I think if we had one more good Java/UI engineer, we'd be kicking butt versus YouTube. Now, for context, this was Google Video. I wish I could find... hopefully there's an old image of it. Google... oh my god. Wait, no, that was the Google search. God, where is the Google Video? Media collage? I feel like this is like a... I feel like that's gonna... is that... that looks like a virus. I don't know if I want to click that. Google Operation. A brief history of Google Video. Ugh. Magnifique. Ugh. Okay. This... okay, well, I can't find a good... there we go. Okay, no. This was Google Video. I can't... and, you know, again, looks are one thing, right? Looks are one thing, but I think it's important to think about the functionality that this has, too, okay? This was Google Video, all right? This was what they thought was going to compete with YouTube at the time, okay? YouTube in 2006, okay? We go to the webdesignmuseum.org. All right, that's interesting. This was YouTube in 2006. All right. Immediately you see a huge feature difference. This was in 2006 too. All right. Free today. Share this video. Playlist. Details from... oh shit. Sorry. Hobbleheim. Hobbleheim is currently blocked. We have Hobbleheim on the right and Hoggleheim on the left. I'll show you more of the emails soon. And that's it. And you watch the video, and that's it. And the search function was like... I remember it being awful, and I remember the buffering on things sucked, and it wasn't really the easiest to use either when you were uploading. I do remember that. Whereas YouTube, anybody could do it. You could log in, you could upload immediately. That was one of the things. You could watch things, you could share things, and there was all kinds of videos on here. And like people just posted whatever they wanted to. Look at this. Like just active channels like Blah, Funny7, Stevie Ryan, Ayana, Make Magazine, Noise Pop. Like people out of nowhere just like wanted to just like post random things. You know what I mean? Like it was more fun. It was, and look at the amount of features in 2006 compared to what you just saw, right? Google Video had like no features. There's channels, there's groups, there's categories. At this time too, you could use HTML and CSS to like change how your channel looked like. So I remember Smosh's channel in particular had like a really custom layout, which was annoying to look at, but at least it was, you know, at least has features, right? So in their hubris, they think, oh, we can totally beat them. We just need one more quarter, which is another three months. Trust me on this. We can absolutely beat them. We just need one more good engineer and it's over. It's that hubris of believing that engineering power can possibly change anything when you don't even have a good design in the first place. When you don't even have a good idea of like what the product fit is. When you don't even when you can't even begin to understand what makes this work. Is there any interest in acquiring them? Asked Jeff Hewitt to Peter Chain. We obviously know Mike Moritz and Rolf Botha reasonably well. So it's... I know how to explain this. There's a lot of like, you know, stories. But basically, when you got big at this time in Silicon Valley, like everybody knew you and you knew everybody. So it felt very incestuous in a way. Guesstimate price tag would be $10 to $15 million. Very low ball. By the way, Yahoo, at the time, they were eyeballing it for like a couple $1 billion. They're obviously pretty passionate about the space, and it would be nice for Y something not to have them. Oh, I think that's Y Combinator. Yeah, so Y Combinator is also another investment space, which is they run the Hacker News forums, but they primarily invest in startups, and there's a whole bunch of stories about that too. There's actually some new interesting ones. We also get whatever assets and deals they've assembled so far. And he also says, Peter Chain then says, I was thinking about pitching into an M&A group, which is a material something and something. M stands for something, but A is acquisition. I don't really know the talent well, and their systems wouldn't be valuable to us. They aren't doing anything on this site where I say, wow, they have some big video brains here. Again, what you saw about Google Video, what Peter Chain said about Google Video, was like, okay, this is like the greatest gift from like God. And then you see YouTube, and it's like, I feel like this is a lot better. But then he says they don't have big video brains there, and their content quality is worse than ours. They see focus on the home video slash community space, while we want to be more like iTunes slash TV, include monetization and higher value content. And you see immediately why they failed. The hubris of people who believe that they can possibly build something better. Honestly, a lot of it is like luck, right? They're very, very lucky that these people were dumbasses, right? They're very, very lucky. YouTube was very, very lucky that they got in early, and that their only competition that could have possibly competed with them had no clue what they were doing, right? But you don't, like, no matter how skilled you are, if you don't understand what's like going on, you're doomed. Like, this is nobody wanted this. Everyone loves this. Everyone still loves this. Everybody loves the community aspect of it. And you see this problem now, actually. There was a whole, the YouTube Rewind thing. There was a period of time where the first couple of YouTube Rewinds were like kind of cool and like good, and it celebrated the community. And then immediately after, they lost the plot, and they said, let's really think about how we rev up the production value and make this a true like a true product of some kind. Try to get more into like the TV or movie sort of like quality stuff, and then they lose the community feel because like it's stupid. If you pick them up, it would be defensive versus Yahoo, but there are 20 more sites like this that Yahoo could go and buy. Revver.com is the latest. Again, the inability to see beyond themselves. And then Jeff Huber says to Peter Chain, and then CC's, oh my god, CC's everybody. CC's a lot of huge names, right? Susan Waikiki, Washiki, I don't know. I think it was like Waikiki or something. She's now the head of YouTube. Sean Dempsey, Jeff Donovan says, except that YouTube is here and Revver is farther away. It's from Palo Alto to New York. I think we should talk to them. Nothing else to make it more expensive for Yahoo. Also, eventually need a monetization / ads model, so maybe should use ours instead of anything from Yahoo. They will go acquisition soon, and we maintain reasonable relations with them. The hubris that they believe that they could possibly beat it, right? You see, and again, it's the same kind of thing that you see all the time, right? Sometimes you just don't need skill. Sometimes you just need a lot of luck. And sometimes you luck out and the enemy like blasts themselves in the foot, right? Fascinating stuff. I always love looking back in like history, right? Because hindsight is 2020. Hindsight's always 2020. But the publicly available information that's out there is not. It's very, very hard to find this information to like even just see what people go through, and to see the things that people do when they make these decisions, right? And it's fascinating to sort of see that even the top minds fail to recognize the value of a community-driven site. Like, it's absurd to believe that iTunes and TV and movie was the only way forward, right? Like, it's so bored. Like, what people want to see is content from people who have great ideas, but not necessarily the means to do so, which is like, the most important part. But hey, you know what? That's just how it goes sometimes. Sometimes people just don't understand or don't get it. And they actually mentioned Y Combinator there. So Y Combinator is also going through a bunch of interesting stuff. Y Combinator is currently going through some very strange things. So apparently there's the person who was running it before is now stepping down, and apparently there was like a bunch of drama when they went up, because when they went up, it was like an outside person who was going up versus someone in Eternal. And everyone was apparently hoping that Michael Sybil, who was one of the founders of Twitch. It's weird that one of the founders of Twitch ended up there. Was going to be the next CEO, but then he was looked over for this outside person, right? And obviously sometimes you want like an outside person. Sometimes you don't want just someone inside, right? Sometimes. But apparently it changed the internal perception of like their value there, because it used to be that Y Combinator always had like a leader raised internally upwards, right? There was also a bunch of like interesting anecdotes on that thread that I read it from too, of like the way that they do the business and the way that they invest in startups, because they're primarily like a startup incubator. They just invest in like a bunch of startups. They take a huge amount of your stocks in return with priority and like a whole bunch of other things, and then if it works out for you, then it works out more for them, and if it doesn't work out for you, then you get nothing, right? Even if it works out for you, you get very, very, very little in like by comparison. it was fascinating to see how many people sort of like said like, yeah, like this model doesn't really work anymore because people are now wiser, right? And how much like it's easier but also harder but also easier for you to just do your own thing now. There's a lot less barriers to getting things out there, right? Again, the barrier of money still exists. So if you need money to get something done, like if your whatever company relies on some product that you need to make real, then yeah, there's like a cost that you have to have. But if it's mostly virtual and you have the skills to do it, then it's mostly fine. You can probably get away with doing it yourself for a lot of it, if not all of it. It was fascinating to sort of see that, progression as like, well, and to even believe that, YouTube would probably even go with them, right? And sure, they took money from Sakura Capital, which Sakura Capital, they always give money to random companies in the hopes that it blows up, and then they get some of the initial priority stock. I think like 15% or 30% is like the average deal. And it's fascinating to sort of see them believe that they want to go over to Y Combinator when like I think that was also like a bad fit for them at that time because they needed because again I think they correctly surmised that YouTube needed better backend servers and like stuff to like store everything, which like they still struggle with now. Like they have blogs about it where they say, yeah, our technology is still like it still costs us a lot to run because there's actually too many videos. But I'm also surprised that they didn't see the rest of the picture and say like this actually is a good product. So again, fascinating look down tech like just history lane for like major companies, right? And every company has these stories. It's very odd. It's funny how we got on this topic because of a single rant of chatbots too. Anyways, I want to show you all before we start playing today. We have some new emotes. Well, not emotes, but we have some interesting images. Getty. So these images were the crops from the Getty Museum Arts run-through. We have Hobbleheim's Alien Heart. Now, this is the heart that was like pierced with like a ring, with like a nose ring. And I was like, wait, it looks just like an alien with the eyes. And actually, it kind of does, right? It looks like an alien trying to be human, so I drew a smiley on it. So that's the Hobbleheim alien. I thought it was good. Obviously, the mouth is like a separate layer, so I can remove it at any time. Oh, I also have a German face map. I don't know why I have this. But it is funny to see that there's a German face map. There's you obviously see Hobbleheim and Hoggleheim. Again, my mispronunciations of the actual artist's name, which was it Nagelheim? What was the actual artist's name? Hofnagel. Hofnagel. The actual artist's name was Hofnagel, and I said Hobbleheim and Hoggleheim. So we have his buried here. And the Photoshop monkey to put the hand over the mouth. Again, this is not the original image. It looks like the original image, but it's completely photoshopped. Very nice. Very, very good. That was a solid Photoshop from all of us, and I'm not saying that because I'm patting myself on the back. I'm saying that because that is actually a good Photoshop. I named this one Hobbleheim's Greatest Mistake. You have the I'm nutting. I just nutted and she's still going phase. 1 with the blue hat. 2 with the hair and like the slight balding, right? It's very I don't know why there were 2. That artist has a fascination with that. You have the one good dog, where it's like anatomically a dog, right? It just doesn't have any. It's a human face. It's human eyes. It looks a lot like my brother-in-law's dog, with its weird human eyes. Like the way it looks at me, I'm like, you look like a human, and then it like licks my face, and I'm like, you're not a human. Humans wouldn't lick my face. And then you have this dog. This I think is the best of the crop, right? This is like the face. It's like the face, but in like dog form. So good. So good. Now, if we ever get emote slots, again, this stuff is now public domain. So we can actually just add this as an emote, and I think this is a good solid. This is a good add to the first set of emotes. I actually have an idea of what emotes that we want eventually, but we have to get there slowly. But enough talking. Today we have to finish Dragon's Dogma. There's 1 day left. While this game is fantastic, we've been taking a lot of time doing a lot of nothing. And it's bad because there's so much to do in this game. I get distracted constantly in this game. And even today we started late, but I'm gonna go for as long as we need to finish the other game. We basically don't stop playing until we finish the other game. So we play the game until it's completely done. And then if I just have to sleep late, then I have to sleep late, right? Because the alternative is that we don't finish this game, and then I don't get to play Dragon's Dogma 2 in time. And that to me is a greater loss. I do everything for the sake of me being able to play games. So I would very much enjoy the ability to play games that I want to play. I can't wait to play them. I can't wait to play Dragon's Dogma 2. But the only way that we're going to get there is if we get through Dragon's Dogma 1 first. Same TBH. See? Same TBH. Thank you, chat. Honestly, if you don't, this is the thing, right? Life is just a series of steps that you have to do to get to the thing that you want to do. And for me, that's playing games. And I'm sure for many of you, chat, that's also just playing games. And like hanging out and like eating food, right? For me, it's food and games. I'm sure that's the same for you too, chat. But we need to finish these games, all right? I made a promise at the new year that we would actually be finishing games, right? Like I made a whole presentation for it. So it's time to get into Dragon's Dogma. But before we do, there's one song that I want to show you. It's a song by a fairly small group band. I'm not sure what to call them. It's a very interesting group because it's none of the voices that you hear belong to the people that you think it belongs to. Like if I showed you a picture of the group, you would not be able to know who is the high voice and who is the low voice. Like who is the R&B voice and like who is the like angelic voice. You would be like, okay, it has to be like the opposite, right? But I really like their music. This is a group called BRB, which is, I mean, it's funny because this is also like a BRB kind of segment, so I can drink some water before I die. Then the song is called Whoops. Whoops. I hope you enjoy this. It's a it's very nice sounding song. There's something about the vibe of the song that's so nice, right? And I actually really enjoy their entire album. That song is from, or whatever it is. Like, there's like I don't know if it's an album or like a collection, but like on Spotify at least, it listed all in like the same like grouping. I don't really know why Spotify just has like the album grouping, but some artists do like a different like naming for it, so it's kind of hard to like tell. But they were like a new group when I found them ish. They're surprisingly very unknown, but I think they've gotten a lot larger within recent years. And their style, it's this style, right? Their style is like very very R&B inspired, but it has it has their own flair on it. Sorry, I'm still so gassy. And I enjoy that kind of like flair that they have, right? It's a very interesting flair. It's the kind of it's weird how it has like, you know, like electronic vibes in it too, which I enjoy. And it's very very repetitive, but like looping in like a way that feels not too dissimilar from like almost like I don't know how to explain this. It feels a bit like lo-fi hip hop if it wasn't lo-fi hip hop. Basically, is what I'm trying to say, right? Obviously, it does have some hip hop inspired like sequences, like especially the way that the lyrics are written. It's surprising how varied the lyrics are. Like there's a lot to like in it. Obviously, it's not the like, deepest lyrics, but it's enjoyable to listen to. Is what I'm trying to say. It has all those little notes that I think people enjoy from other different types of genres, or those like 24/7 like live like music like stations on YouTube and stuff. That I think it works out very very well. And a lot of their songs are kind of like that, but some of their songs go even higher. So if we do a BRB, which we will probably later, I'll be playing one other of their songs. But right now, we go into Dragon's Dogma chat. We need to finish this game fully. This is the song Porter by Adoy. BRB. That was Porter by Dory. Very, very. It feels very interesting, right? Like I like the vibe of the song. And I really, especially love the tonal shift. Right. I think that's the thing that I really enjoy about that song the most is that tonal shift from like it feels very ethereal at like first, but also very like solemn at first, right? It has like da na 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 na, and it's like okay, like it's like, and it's just like it just feels weird them talking about like living and like paradise and stuff like that. And then it gets very groovy all of a sudden. It's like, okay, now I'm really vibing. And it's like weird, right? It's a very strange change in tone to go from like a very sort of existential kind of song to a very like I feel like I'm like almost like a jazz bar kind of like song. It's strange. Um, I associate that song with very interesting memories of like me walking around after work and stuff, or like during work like lunches, or just like just in general during like summer. I used to like walking around a lot, walking my dog to that song as well. And then sort of just like going around when it was like warmer and just hanging out in like places, right? And it's like that. It's a very weird vibe that I think fits downtown, like metropolitan, very very well. Because it's like in like a metropolitan area, right? You're downtown. You simultaneously have that feeling of I want to like die and go to paradise because you're working in like a like an office. Nothing really matters, and you're paying bills. But at the same time, you're kind of grooving because like there is kind of like a life in to the city, like right, and you feel like a part of that vibe. You feel like a part of like the movement that's like happening, the life that's like pulsating all around you. It's a very interesting style of music. I really enjoy that song, and that's the kind of vibe that it reminds me of. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that one. Again, as always, if you like the song, it's in the pinned message, and then it'll go away in like 5 minutes. So you gotta click on that fast. If you don't click on that fast and save it, then you're doomed. You're doomed. You know what? Then you're doomed because fuck you. Welcome to my stream. Welcome to my stream and fuck you. Um, we're gonna be doing some SCP readings. We have Hobbleheim's greatest mistake, and the Hobbleheim's and also Hobbleheim himself, who is shapeshifted into a toucan bird. All right, we'll keep them here. I kind of like the way the monkey peeks over my shoulder on top of my head, and he's like, covering his like mouth. I kind of like that. I kind of like that. I kind of like the monkey doing that. I kind of like that, chat. I kind of like the monkey like peeking over, like hello. I really enjoy that, so we'll leave it there. Strange about it. It sounds very much like a video game song almost, right? Like like I can imagine myself playing Final Fantasy and hearing that song, right? But it doesn't feel very Final Fantasy. It feels almost like a modern day RPG almost. Like a modern day RPG soundtrack. Imagine your like RPG was set in like a modern day, like it was Yeek, but it was good, right? But like and you had that song playing, I think it'd be very interesting. Very, very interesting, right? But another song actually that reminded me of because I did there's another song that I was listening to recently because this is gonna be weird, this is gonna be weird context that the fact that it sounds like a video game song reminded me of this song. Okay, Justice, which is a duo that does electronic music from France, has recently announced their new album, or like they recently like by like a month ago, and I I was re-listening like their old. I was having a I was listening again to their old album Cross, and I was and Cross it's such an interesting album. The way that everything sounds and the way that they do sampling, it's so goddamn good, right? Like everyone's heard of Dance from like Cross, and if you haven't heard of Dance from like Cross, but the album Cross by Justice, and I feel like you're missing out, right? But there's one song on that album that I think has that same feeling of like it feels like a video game song that was just a part of some like of like some like just like random album. Like it feels like they were writing music for some other purpose, and they happened to like stumble upon this like song. And but then they like whatever project that like was didn't get off the ground. So then they just stuck it into the album. But it sounds so good. And that song is Valentine by Justice from the album Cross. One more song, one more song. Enjoy this. That song, there's a certain quality about it. It's the way that the comp is. It's the way that the melody is, right? The initial melody seems like it's building into something sort of like melancholic almost, and then it gets into that like looping chorus almost. I don't really know what the exact word for it is, but like that like looping melody feels so almost like uplifting, almost as if you've like fallen down into something very very bad, and then you like drag yourself up, and then it's like you're slowly rising up, right? And then out of the context of the rest of the album, I don't think you feel this song very well because the album is structured in such a way that you need to listen to it from front to back to really get a sense of this like almost musical storytelling that they're trying to like do, right? Then you start to hear the like cracks in this song, right? Which you when you listen to this song in the context of the full album, it makes sense, right? The cracks, as if the illusion is starting to like break, and then all of a sudden the quiet into that droning into that droning bum, into the droning drum beats, droning bum beats, into the droning drum beats, right? Like, and then like slow breathlessness as it leads up into the next song, right? It's why it cuts so abruptly, because the entire album is meant to be listened from like front to like back, and it kind of feels almost like you're still falling. You know what I mean? It kind of feels like the illusion was broken, and actually you're still falling. You thought there was a chance, and all of a sudden it disappears. And yet it's the way that the melody is composed that reminds me so much of like how some soundtracks for like games can like sound like if I heard that in a game, I would kind of be breathless. I would probably be like combine that with a really good RPG scene, and I would just like put down the controller and be like, whoa, you know what I mean? That's like a but yeah, Justice has a new album coming out. I forget the name of the album. Or maybe it's already out. But one of the songs on the album, it's a hyper drama album, and guess what? One of the songs they made with, I'm not even kidding you, Tame Impala. I was like, holy shit, Tame Impala is moving up, or maybe they're moving up. I don't know. Like when I think of Tame Impala, I'm like, yo, right? Tame Impala makes some good music. I think I played their songs early on in the stream's life cycle, at some points. But I really love Tame Impala. I really enjoy like all of their like songs. This is it's again it's just a certain vibe to their music that I really really enjoy. And so to know that they're making an album with them, it was like I have to listen to them. And the one song that they did put out, like it reminds me a lot of the start of the Justice album, right? I always found the start of the Justice album to be kind of like, the lead up to everything else, right? It wasn't like, bombastic or anything, but it was like a lead up. And then when it really got going, when the album really got going, when you really like delve deep into like what the storytelling was across the entire album, and when you get into like how they produce their songs, how they mix things in, and like how they even like use samples to great effect. Like again, the dance song is like one example, but like, throughout all of them, you can get like glimpses of like samples here and like there. God, it's so good. It's so good. I mean, there was even one song where they made it out of I think it was like a classic drum and bass stabs. Was it drum and bass? It was like some kind of no raving stabs, rave music stabs that were a part of some. I forget which DAW or which package it was, but it came as like a part of like a package, and like that was everybody's first experience making like a rave song or like an electronica song, and they used that to make an entire song. And it was actually a really, really good song that felt kind of ravey, but at the same time was able to use it in such a way that felt very fresh, very new. It's surprising. And again, 12-year-old album. Very surprised. 12-year-old album still slaps. Because of them too, we have Zed. You may not know this, but Zed, Zed, the artist, the music artist, the producer, was also inspired by Cross. So Zed was used to be going to school for something else or something, and they were inspired to change into electronic music by this album. I think this album had a profound impact on many artists today. And I'm very happy to see that they're coming back for another album, and that Tame Impala is like on one of the songs. I'm like, yo! So yeah, Hyper Drama album, Justice. Very excited, very very excited. And the Tame Impala song with them is All Night, All Long, All Drive or something. I don't know. The naming scheme is weird. Again, DANCE, like Valentine, like there's a song that sounds like a Dracula song and it has like a Dracula name or something. It's weird. But that's enough about music. We're going on to play games now. Okay. No more talking, no more music. Today, we finish Dragon's Dogma as best I can. So I'll explain what my philosophy is here, okay? I will explain what my philosophy is in today's stream of Dragon's Dogma. Give me a moment to set things up.